Most fencing businesses don't have a growth problem. They have an owner problem. Not because the owner is bad, mainly because the whole business is still running through the owner's head. You're doing the quotes, you're answering the calls, you're chasing the materials, you're sorting staff, you're fixing mistakes, you're checking jobs, you're doing payroll, you're dealing with the clients. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, you're trying to build fences and make a profit. That's not a business running clean. That's an owner pushing the whole thing uphill. And sooner or later, that catches up with you. G'day, Simon here from The Profitable Fencer. This is a Fencer's Life, Lessons from the Trenches, where we talk about all things fencing and some of the things that I've learned the hard way, unfortunately, and trying to help you guys create better businesses around something that you love doing, and that's building fences. Today, I want to talk about something I call the 8 cylinders of a fencing business. This came from a blog I wrote about why most fencing businesses still feel like a job, even when they are busy. Because being busy doesn't mean the business is healthy. Having work booked doesn't mean you're making money. Having staff doesn't mean you have a team. And having leads doesn't mean you have a proper sales process. A fencing business runs properly when 8 areas are working together: leadership, product, lead flow, sales, delivery, systems, operations, and team. When those 8 cylinders fire together, the business moves better. When 1 or 2 start misfiring, you feel it everywhere. And when half of them are broken, the business still moves, but it shakes, burns fuel, costs too much to run, and wears you out. So let's dive into Section 1, leadership and vision. The first cylinder is leadership and vision. This is not a motivational talk. This is direction. What sort of businesses are you building? What sort of work do you want? What sort of work do you refuse? What margins are acceptable? What does a good month actually look like? And if you don't decide that, the market will decide for you. And the market usually lands or hands you whatever is left, which is cheap meter rate jobs, tiny jobs with big expectations, clients who want the best result for the lowest price, jobs that chew through your week but don't move the business forward. Leadership is when you stop taking everything that comes in. You decide what your lane is, whether it's residential, rural, commercial, schools, security, acreage, builder work, maintenance, whatever it is you choose it on purpose. Because if you don't know what the business is meant to become, every quote looks like an opportunity. But let me tell you straight away, it's not. Some work is good fuel, some work is rubbish fuel. And the rubbish fuel makes the whole engine run rough. Believe me when I say this, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same thing. Plenty of work booked in, plenty of jobs for the boys to go and do, but no money in the bank. That brings me to Section 2, your product. The second cylinder is the product. Most fencers think they sell fencing. Let me say that again. Most fencers think they sell fencing. They don't. They sell privacy. They sell security. They sell containment. They sell compliance. They sell presentation. They sell peace of mind. The fence is the thing you install, but the result is what the client is really buying. That matters because when you only sell meters, you get compared on meters. When you sell certainty, structure, finish, and trust, the conversation changes. Product means knowing how to package your work, and it might be a better gate option, a stronger post system, a cleaner finish, a better compliance process, a proper handover, a clear upgrade path, and a client doesn't always know what they need. How many times have we been through that? Client brings up, I want a fence, but they don't know what they want. They may know why they want it. They may have logic based around getting something done, but there's always an underlying reason why they're getting that fence built. It may be for aesthetics. It may be, as I said, for privacy, keeping the neighbours from looking in. It may be for security, keeping the kids in the backyard so they're safe and secure in their own family environment. It might be from building a fence to keep the neighbour's dog from coming over and shitting on your lawn. You know, there's all these little things. It could be keeping the neighbour's cattle out because they're tick infested and you don't want them on your property because it costs so much every time you've got to go into quarantine. There's so many different things why your product matters the most, and you have to get that through to your client so you can get on a deeper level and understand what's happening. Your job is to lead them, not confuse them, not throw random options at them. Lead them, show them what is included, why it matters, and what happens if they go cheap in the wrong area. That's how you stop being just another quote and compared with everybody else. Pushes me on to Section 3, leads, clients, and recruitment. The third cylinder is the lead flow. but not just more leads. You want the right leads. A lot of fencing businesses are flat out with the wrong work, and that is not a win. If your phone is full of price shoppers, tiny repair jobs, and people asking if you can beat another quote, you don't have a lead flow problem, you have a lead quality problem. Okay, let me say that again. If you keep comparing everybody on bad jobs, getting lots of leads come through, but they're all tire kickers, you have a lead quality problem, not a lead flow problem. Good marketing should attract people who care about the result, people who value a clean scope, people who want the job done properly, people who respect deposits, timing, communication, and your process. And this cylinder also includes recruitment, because if you can't attract decent workers, you stay trapped. Put your hand up if you're trapped because you cannot find workers. It is the number one thing I hear all the time in the fencing world. We cannot find qualified people. We cannot find labourers. Everybody's sitting around with their hand on their pocket and doesn't want to work, getting handouts. What it does is it keeps you trapped. And the owner keeps being the estimator, the supervisor, the trainer, the problem solver, quality controller, and the backup labourer, the truck driver, the delivery guy. You know, that's not sustainable. You need lead flow for clients and you need lead flow for good people. Both matter. Pushes me on to section 4, sales and conversion. And the fourth cylinder is sales. Now, a lot of tradies don't like that word. They think sales means being pushy. It doesn't. Good sales is clarity. It helps the right client make a good decision. Your quote should answer the client's questions before they have to chase you. So what's included? What's excluded? What's the process? What are the payment terms? What happens next? What could change the price? How do variations work? When your quote is vague, the client gets nervous. When your process is weak, they compare you on price. When your follow-up is poor, good jobs fall through the cracks. You don't need to be slick. You just need to be clear. A strong quote, clear terms, solid follow-up, and confidence in your price will do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And that brings us to section 5, delivery. The fifth cylinder is delivery. This is where your business either builds trust or destroys it. Delivery is not just getting the fence in the ground, it's showing up properly, controlling the site, building to standard, keeping the client updated, managing the changes, finishing straight, cleaning up, and doing what you said you're going to do. In fencing, the standard shows in the details: post alignment, footings, levels, gates, hardware, clean cuts, clean up, how the site is left, how the problems are handled. And this is also where a lot of owner operators get stuck because they are the best installer in the business. So the business keeps relying on the best installer. And at first, that feels like a real strength. I know it did for me in my business. Nobody could build the fence as good as what I could do. Later, it becomes a cage with the door slammed securely behind you. And I have been there so many times where things don't go right and they go pear-shaped, and I have to get back on the ground to sort things out. And that just tells me one thing, that the whole business is too reliant on me. And I need to give more trust to the people on the ground in the field to do what I can do. And that becomes down to training. Simple as that. Because if the quality drops every time you step away, you don't have a delivery system. You have an owner-dependent quality. And that will hold the business back. How do we get around it? Brings us to systems and tech. The sixth cylinder is systems and tech. And this is where a lot of fencing businesses get really lazy. Not because they don't care, it's just because they're busy. But that is exactly why the systems matter so much. Let me ask you this. When I mention the word systems, does your brain just go into an affray of confusion and you don't know where to start and what's happening? Most of us already have systems in place. We just don't know they're in our head. We don't know how to get them out of our head to hand them over to somebody else. But that is exactly why systems matter. If quotes live in your head, job notes live in text messages, scheduling lives in your memory, and variations are handled verbally, you don't have control, you have luck. And luck is not a business system. You need a simple, repeatable system for lead capture, quoting, scope checks, site photos, scheduling, material ordering, job packs, variations, invoicing, follow-up. Doesn't need to be fancy, just needs to be repeatable. The goal is simple. Okay, the job should not fall apart just because you weren't standing there holding it together. That's the goal. That leads us into the 7th cylinder, which is operations. And this is different from delivery. Delivery is the build. Operations is what makes the build possible without chaos. Operations is the job sequencing, the crew allocation, the plant and equipment, the supplier coordination, the site access, the safety paperwork, the payment discipline, material timing, job packs, scheduling, and this is where a lot of fencing owners lose money without noticing. The crew turns up and materials aren't ready. The access is worse than expected. The job takes 2 days longer. The client hasn't paid the next stage yet. The machine isn't available. The gate hardware is missing. Everyone is working hard, but the day is loose. Somebody's forgot something and we've got to run back to the office or to the factory to pick something up, one of the tools up. That's an operations problem. And poor operations eat your bottom line, eat your profit. And they do it quietly and unseen. And they do it day after day. It brings us to our last cylinder, the team. And this one is pretty blunt. If every answer has to come from you, you don't have a team, you have dependency. A real team knows the standard, they know the process, and they know their role. They know what good looks like, they know when to ask, and they know what not to decide on their own. They have accountability, they have training, they have clear communication. And most owners say, I can't find good people. Sometimes that's true, okay? Sometimes that is true. But that brings us back to one of the other cylinders where we need to be recruiting all the time and marketing for good people. But sometimes the real issue is that the business has never built a proper structure for good people to succeed in. There's no clear handover. There's no job pack. There's no quality checklist. There's no training rhythm. There's no standard. There's definitely no accountability. And then the owner gets frustrated because people keep doing it wrong. But if the standard only exists in your head, how are they meant to follow it? The real problem, and here's the real issue, most fencing businesses are owner powered, not business powered. They start with a good installer, that's you. Good reputation, good word of mouth, plenty of effort. Then the work grows, but the structure doesn't. So the owner just keeps adding more effort, more hours, more decisions, which equals more stress, more problem solving, more chasing, more pressure. And then they wonder why the business feels heavier even though it's bigger. That's because growth without structure doesn't create freedom. It creates a bigger mess. And this is where the owner starts making bad decisions. Again, put your hand up if you've been on that slippery slope. You know, the bad decisions come from saying yes to work they should have knocked back. They discount to keep the crew moving. They take jobs on with poor access. They accept weak terms, which hurts your cash flow. They carry the clients financially, which hurts your cash flow. They let scope stay loose, not because they're silly. It's just because the machine needs feeding. But feeding a weak machine with bad work only makes it worse. So how do we find the broken cylinder? How do you fix it? You don't fix all 8 at once, okay? That's where people waste time, because you'll just find out, you'll get so overwhelmed, you won't do anything, and then the machine stays broken. So you find the first bottleneck, the one causing the most strain. If you have plenty of work but no cash, look at the pricing, look at the terms, look at the job mix and the collections. If every day feels like firefighting, look at the leadership, look at the systems, look at the operations. If the team keeps needing you, look at the training, look at your job packs, look at the delivery standards and the accountability. If quotes go out but don't convert, check your lead quality, look at the sales structure. If job win easily, but the profit stays thin, look at your product, look at your scope, look at your pricing and your absorbed complexity. If quality drops when you step away, look at the delivery team and the systems. That's your dashboard, okay? Read it honestly, not emotionally. One of my coaches always tells me, data over drama. The dashboard, the gut feel matters, but gut feel without numbers gets very expensive. You need a dashboard, nothing complicated, just the numbers that tell you what is really happening. Your average job value, your revenue per install day, your install days used, your gross margin by your job type, your quote conversion rate, your deposits received, your aged debtors, your poor fit inquiries, your back costed jobs. If install days are going up but revenue isn't, something is wrong. If quotes are strong but the cash is weak, something is wrong. If the crew is busy but the profit is thin, something is wrong. If you are flat out but not moving forward, something is wrong. The dashboard stops you guessing, and guessing is what keeps a lot of fencing businesses stuck. So here's a simple exercise that and here's what I want you to do. Score your business out of 10 across the 8 cylinders. Leadership. Give yourself a 1 to 10. Product. 10. Give yourself a score out of 10. Lead flow, sales, delivery, your systems, your operations, your team. Anything under a 7 needs attention. Anything under a 5 is hurting the rest of the business. Then pick one. Not 3, not 8, just pick one. Pick the cylinder causing the most pressure, fix that properly. If cash is tight, fix the pricing terms and the job mix. Fix your age receivables. Make sure you're invoicing on time. Make sure you're collecting that cash. Bring it tighter. If days are messy and the guys are going from A to B and across town and then coming back to C, which is right next door to A job, fix your scheduling and your job packs. If quality drops without you, fix the standards and how you hand over the jobs. If leads are poor, fix the message and the filter. If sales are weak, fix the quote process and the follow-up. One clean fix creates space. Then the next weak point becomes easier to see. That's how you build a stronger business, layer by layer. Doesn't happen overnight. They build trust into your team. Let them go and make some mistakes on their own. Let them have their head so they can do the job, because a lot of them will learn the way you learned, and that's by doing. Here's what most owner-operators need to hear. You are probably not the problem, but you might be the bottleneck. There is a really big difference. You built your business with skill, effort, and reputation. That has got it moving. That has got the momentum, but it won't automatically make it scalable. If quoting, scheduling, ordering, client updates, team control, and problem solving still live in your head, the business is leaning too heavily on one cylinder, and that's yours. That will work until it doesn't. And when it stops working, it feels personal, okay? It feels very personal, feels very emotional, but it isn't personal. It's structural. And structure can be fixed. So this week, don't just ask, how do I get more work? Ask yourself a better question. Which cylinder is misfiring? Because more work won't fix a weak engine. Better structure will. If your fencing business feels busy, but still too dependent on you, start there. Find the bottleneck, fix it properly, then move to the next one. That's how you stop owning a harder job and start building a proper fencing business. Okay, that's all I've got for you. That's all I've got for you today. This is Simon, Fencer's Life, Lessons from the Trenches, Profitable Fencer. Stay safe out there.
Thanks again for listening to the Fencer's Life podcast. Be sure to follow on Twitter, Instagram, or the free Facebook group, The Fence Posts. And of course, Simon's personal Facebook, facebook.com/Simon M. Davis 1. And also check out Spotify to get weekly episodes. If you believe Simon can help you make a difference in your fencing business, please reach out to him on Messenger or visit his coaching mentoring site at theprofitablefencer.com. Until then, stay safe and happy fencing.